Good evening.
Good evening.
So this is our first week. Week 1, week in review. So we started at my parents' house in Lake Stevens, Washington last Friday.
Friday. We went north to Walker Valley, OHV, which is an OHV park that you've been to a couple times with your dad, but I've never been to. And I've also never been dirt biking in Washington State, which is a lot different than California. It has a lot more roots, a lot more mud, a lot more dirt, but it was fantastic. It was fun.
Very wet though.
Yeah, really fun. We went up that Friday night, I think, and then did a quick ride, and then stayed the night, and then rode all day on Saturday. Like, oh my gosh, the trails there, you just went, whoop! You have footage, right?
Yep.
Yeah, he's like, let's just go on this trail, and then we take it, and it's this brick road that it just straight up, and can't stop on this. So we just went straight up, but...
Good introduction for Washington for Kelly.
But yeah, no, then my dad came by. He said he was going to test his gear, but really he just came by. He made us lunch. Him and Michelle made us lunch as a send-off and to say hi before we left. So,
yeah, it was great start to our trip, and we went on from there. So the next stop, we drove from Walker Valley to Fort Ebay, kind of Ebay. Sorry, Alyssa. Just west of Walker Valley, kind of Mount Vernon area. I haven't flown my paraglider since I learned kind of in the November-December time frame down in California, and I've never flown at any other site other than the one I was trained at. So I really wanted to kind of get out there and get some practice, especially just practicing those ground skills, what's called kiting. But long story short, I got in the air and it was just beautiful sights. I got to see the ocean as well as kind of all the beautiful sights that kind of that Oak Harbor, Fort Ebay has to offer. So great day. And of course, as probably most of you know, we got engaged that same day. That night in the sunset, I got down on one knee and proposed. So
and I said yes.
There you go. From Fort Ebay, we spent an afternoon in Oak Harbor before crossing over on a ferry to Port Townsend. His first time having the truck in a ferry, so that was interesting. But
we weren't the biggest truck.
We weren't. There was a semi on there too, but it was nice because we were actually able to sit in the ferry line and make dinner while we were waiting. So it's kind of great. It worked out like that. After we crossed, we drove into the night a little bit and stopped at a place called Crescent Lake. We were going to kind of plan this hike there the next day, but we kind of ran into our first kind of internet issue. We both are using our cell networks for work and things, so we didn't have any cell reception there, so we had to move on pretty early in the morning. But the waking up to seeing the lake on that sunrise was just absolutely gorgeous. So
right on the border of the Olympic National Park. The northern end. Absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, and I mean, stops like that, even though we kind of had to move on quickly, are just one of the reasons we're doing it the way we're doing it. It's just it makes all the craziness worth it. So from there we kind of drove into Forks, the famous Forks, Washington. Spent the day kind of parked in front of a public library, worked from there, had good reception, ran a few errands and whatnot. And then in the evening, we went to Hoh Rainforest. You want to talk about your favorite rainforest?
My friend Alyssa told me about it, and ever since she told me about it, I've always wanted to go because it's kind of cool that we had a rainforest in our backyard, and I had no idea because we both grew up in the Seattle area. And it was beautiful, absolutely beautiful. It had just moss everywhere, Gorgeous. We went on a beautiful day that was sunny, so it wasn't too wet. And I saw elk.
Elk.
We saw elk.
Yep.
They didn't care about us at all. We just kind of walked right past them. But first time seeing some elk. And we did. We just did little 1 miler loop hikes around the area there, and played with the camera and enjoyed the scenery.
Yeah, and that night, gosh, we were traveling quite a bit, but only like, I don't know, 45 minutes to an hour at a time, so kind of like a normal person's commute.
Yeah.
That night we went to Ruby Beach and kind of watched the sunset. Beautiful, beautiful evening. And then found a kind of a place to stay the night just down the road from there. So for the next day or so, we ended up kind of just hanging out in front of this bed and breakfast. I don't remember what it was called, so we'll have to look it up. So yeah, it was just, we had the truck parked right in front of this beautiful view of the ocean, and then we worked from there all day. And then had a great seafood dinner with fish and chips and clam chowder. And
with the sunset again.
When the sun set. And Kelly even shared her very nice bottle of white wine from Sonoma when she went wine tasting.
Courtesy of Aunt Peg and Uncle Paul.
Thank you very much.
We spent the night at the beach that night.
Oh, yeah.
And had a fire and everything. So we were the epitome of fancy. We had seafood with sunset, some California Sonoma wine, and that I went tasting for the weeks before. And then we had a nice fire on the beach.
We're on a beach, and I have the hiccups. And it's pretty great.
So, but yeah, so after that... We drove toward Astoria, and we ended up getting there pretty late, around 9:30 p.m. And our goal was to hit up the Astoria Tower the day after, but for whatever reason, I was just like, let's go check it out. We ended up going there, up there close to 10 p.m., and they still had the tower lit up, and which is absolutely beautiful. You could see the tower, all the beautiful murals they had there, and then the town of Astoria down in all of its lights on the river. So there's a lot of people just hanging out just for the view, not even for the tower. Great surprise. I had no idea that it was lit up like that. So after that?
Let's see. After that, we went dirt biking in Oregon. We made our way to Brown's Camp in in Oregon, past Seaside, and it was fantastic. We parked on the side of the trail because it was bumpy going up there, and we didn't think we were gonna make it, and so we pulled off on a little pole over there and set up and got our dirt bikes out, and then we're exploring that. We have no idea where we're going.
We've never been here before.
Never been there. Getting a little lost, but gorgeous. It was, we stuck on the easier trails, so first time I've ever tried going fast on trails on purpose. And it was so fun. Yeah, it's just beautiful. It was a beautiful day, so we made it up to the top in one of them, and we saw a couple of them, Adams and Hood, and gorgeous.
We thought our truck was our truck was big, and it had a hard time getting up into that mountainy area. But we actually saw a semi truck up there.
Two.
Well, one. But there was one semi truck, and it's like a big old trailer, and then on the trailer was a camper, kind of just right in the middle. But there was also enough room for it. We probably had like a series of other like dune buggies and things like that. But
it's a version 2.
Yeah, if we ever decide to go even bigger, it's crazy. Yeah. So after Brown's Camp, we headed out back kind of up through the Tillamook Forest to Portland. Spent a couple hours exploring Portland. We're not huge city people, and with COVID and all these things, we didn't want to spend too much time there. But we got some ice cream, saw a few of the attractions there, and continued east to kind of the Hood River, Columbia River Gorge area, which we were kind of planning on doing a hike the next day. You want to tell them about the hike?
Well, I was in charge of planning the hike, and I thought we were going to do this nice 10-mile loop that looked
Nice,
gorgeous.
10 miles.
Yeah, well, I thought we could do 10 miles. We ended up doing a 13-mile
13.6.
like peak. So like straight up and down. And it was exhausting. I was hurting pretty bad going up there. In fact, you did a time lapse and you might be showing it while we're talking, but it goes fast enough where you can't tell how much I'm limping. We are hiking Multnomah Falls, and we are on the something lodge trail. Beautiful scenery. We've hiked from rivers and crazy moss to mountain ledges where we're scrambling over rocks, and now we're in the snow. But it was so worth it. It was gorgeous. We got to the top of this peak. It was Larch Mountain Trail, and we saw 5 mountaintops. We saw Jefferson, Mount Hood, that's on the Oregon side, and then on the Washington side, we saw St. Helen, Lanier, and Adams. Just gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. Worth the pain. Suffering a little bit the next day. Very sore.
We're still sore.
Especially the fact that this truck is very tall for me, and I have to get in and out. It's been a rough day.
Yeah, so we'll see you. We'll do another video this coming week. We're going down to the Oregon coast to do some dunes beach riding, doing some more coastal flying, and then we're gonna head inwards to Bend, Oregon, and then over to Idaho. So that's the next week. See ya.